How many of you have had a family member or a friend take that journey, end of life journey, that you either were alongside or maybe in the stands watching it happen? Anybody have that? Most people do, right? What do they say? There's only two things. I think there's more, but taxes and your passing, right? That's the two things you can't avoid. But we do avoid talking about it. And if you were intimately involved, like I have been, with close family members passing, it's harder when you don't know what their wishes are. And if they get to that point where they can't really communicate that to you and you're making choices for them, it twists your heart. It tugs at your heart. And so what I would love all of you to do when this is finished is look up 5 wishes, because you'll know a little bit about it, and make those choices for yourself so that your loved ones don't have that issue. What I did for Valentine's Day is I bought a bunch of copies of the 5 wishes and I sent them to my closest family. Not that I was wishing them to leave, but that I was wishing and hoping they would make decisions. So that's what today's about. So, go to the next slide. So we're going to talk about the practical steps, or the fact that 5 wishes allows you to make practical steps toward your wishes being honored, and that it helps communicate those wishes to other people. And also a little bit about like how Resource for Care can help. I did order extra copies, but they didn't come in time. I don't know whether there's some kind of backlog, but take a look, glance at inside, and then pass it back. Can I ask you to do that in your column over here? And here, just flip through it. Just so you have an idea of what the document looks like. So statistics and surveys show that people want, if they can, to die at home. Have you ever thought about it? Would you want to be in a community or a facility or in a hospital, or would you rather be home? You don't have to answer that question because maybe you don't know yet. But think about it. Do you want to have a situation when you're free from pain? So do you want to express to your family members, make sure that whatever I need, I get at home or wherever I'm at, that I'm free of pain? Do you want to be in the company of loved ones? Are there people that you maybe don't want to see? I don't know. You just never know. And do you want to retain, or how far do you want to retain the choices for yourself, right? So at what point do you want to put your hands up and say, I leave it to others? So that's what people want. I think we're there we go. So less than 25% of Americans die at home, even though statistics show that most people wish that they would be in their familiar surroundings and around family. And more than 70% say that it was their wish. So 70% of the people say that's what I would prefer, and only 25 have that happen, 25%. And passing, they say dying, I hate that word, but passing really is often an unnecessarily painful and isolating experience, especially if you haven't expressed what your wishes are. Have you ever gone to a wake or something like that where it's a celebration of life, right? And then you go to another one and it's so sad. So what is it that you want that experience to be? And it doesn't have to be isolating. Only 20 to 30% of the population complete an advance directive. And this is an example of an advance directive. So no wonder 70%, only 25% of the people get what they want. Because only 20 to 30% have actually made these choices and communicated to their friends. Next. Okay. So when you get a chance to see the form, it's not a typical legal document, right? It doesn't have all that, you already read it, right? It's not a typical document where you're like, okay, I need a decoder ring to figure out what the heck this says, right? Does anybody remember decoder rings? Anyway, I'm aging, I'm showing my age. Cracker Jack boxes and decoder rings.
Drink your Ovaltine.
That's right. So, the fact that it's a simple format makes it a little easier to fill out and also makes it more pleasant for your family members to read through what your wishes are. It's just a more pleasant and less formal, it's everyday language. Peace of mind, I don't know, Tim, you probably can weigh in on this, or anybody else who's cared for others. Often, peace of mind is very difficult to grasp if these things aren't discussed ahead of time. And that's what this is about, peace of mind. And, my mother-in-law passed away. She had a wonderful long life. She passed away in her 90s. And she went so quickly that the sons really didn't talk to her about all of her wishes. Even though I was promoting that, there's only so much a daughter-in-law can do. It's difficult, sometimes to have those conversations. So I saw the stress in those communications about making choices for mom, because she was falling every night, every day. And so it was difficult for a family member to care for her, and they really didn't know what her wishes were. So it hits home, even though I'm promoting doing this, you can't force the issue. It's more about presenting it and, hopefully they grasp onto it. And like this says, it just gets them the care that people want and the care that they deserve, frankly. So not only, if you read through the document, does it talk about care, but it also talks about emotions and spirituality. So it starts to touch on, what do you want your situation to look like? What do you want your funeral to look like? Who do you want to be there? This is all about transitioning in a spiritual way. It's a document, and I think you don't have to show the next slide yet, but you'll see that a lot of people have endorsed this. It was created by the Bar Association. This is not some fly-by-night group that just put this together. And it helps, as we said, facilitate not only with family, but also with doctors, too. It's so much easier when you're in a hospital and you're confident about what your family member wants as far as care, to stand up for them. Because if you've been in a hospital, often they push their agenda. I don't mean to sound disparaging, but they have their own mindset of how things should be, and it may not match your family values, and it may not match your loved ones. So this allows you to stand up to the caregivers and the doctors in the hospital. Does mom want to continue with chemo, or she want to have the time that she has left to be quality of life? That's really a personal decision, not a doctor's decision. But they may be pushing for something different, not to disparage doctors. They're meant to try to keep you alive and well. And, if you're 97 years old and your choice is whether to go through chemo every day and be sick to your stomach and other issues, you may choose not to take that advice, to be blunt. So there's more than 40,000 organizations. You'll see that some of the ones that I passed around actually have Baptist on the back or an attorney's information on the back. So you can get certified in this and use it to pass it out if you so choose to help spread the word. Okay? So, I think I touched on this already. You know, I'm ahead of myself in saying they don't want to be on the conveyor belt. They may want to make different choices than what the medical association or the health experts want. And it allows for dignity and just your wishes to be you know, for you to be able to stand up for them. Next slide. So this is, I got ahead of myself, but this is some of the institutions nationally known, just to give it some credibility, that are supporting the use of the 5 wishes. You know, some of the details are that you might want to pick a specific person to make your care decisions for you. Sometimes what I see is one person will be the person who does the care decisions, and there might be someone who's more financially astute that would take care of the financial decisions. And this helps you navigate that. Gets you thinking about, you know, do I want my son who's all about the numbers and the facts to be making choices about my care? Or do I want my daughter who's touchy-feely, you know, more in tune with the emotional side of my needs? And you can make those decisions by walking through. What kind of medical treatment do you want? You know, at what point do you want to stop, you know, life-saving or extending processes that might not be giving you quality of life? And how comfortable do you want to be? You know, some people going through birth go, give me the drugs, right? Anybody who's talked to someone who's about to give birth, right? And so you might reach that point too, where you're like, I just want to be comfortable. I want to be near my loved ones. And how do you want people to treat you? Do you want to talk in depth about this? Do you want to have heart-to-heart conversations? Or you just want cheerful people around you, lifting you up? It depends on your personality. It's a different experience for each person. And how much do you want your loved ones to know? Do you want them to know every detail? Or maybe you're a person you want to spare them some of the details and just give them the big picture, right? So wish number 1, and this is why it's the 5 wishes, is allows you to name the person to act on your behalf, gives you legal, durable power of attorney for your healthcare portion, and often a healthcare agent, or, you know, often known as the healthcare agent or proxy. That's what the official name is. Wish number 2, it acts as your living will. So it gives you it lets you express specific things to your caregivers, such as the need to take pain medicine, or even if it leaves you sleeping. Okay. And one of those choices might be life support. You know, how much do you want a machine to keep you alive, right? And it allows a space on the second wish to put in your personal beliefs, express yourself in a really soft way instead of a legal document. I mean, it is a legal document, but it's done in a more soft way. So wish number 3 talks about your pain management. So there's two things here. You know, I do not want to be in pain. I want my doctor to give me enough medication to relieve my pain, even if that means I'm drowsy or sleep more than I would otherwise. And things like, I wish to have my favorite music playing whenever possible. Little things like that can make all the difference in the environment. And we don't think of that. I think I talked enough about that. So, wish number 4, what talks about what others should keep in mind if you become seriously ill, whether you want to have people around, as I mentioned earlier, and holding your hand and being in close communication with you. Do you want prayer said? Do you want a visit from your chaplain or your priest? And what do you want your environment to be? Do you want your family members' pictures splattered everywhere, so everywhere you look, they're there? And when family members are going through this trying time, they're thinking about their grief a lot and what you might want, but they're not thinking maybe we should have pictures up, right? A little thing like that, or music playing. That's the surroundings. And then wish number 5. So, the way families are nowadays, and I have this in my family. My mother lives in New Jersey. I don't know how she lives I know from growing up how she lives her daily life, but I've not been in her home for how long, right? So what is her routine? So this allows for that communication that often you're not in their daily life, you're not guessing, or you're not necessarily putting things in place that you remember from your childhood. It gives some time possibly, let's say you express you want to meet with or see certain family members. They're in your inner circle, and you want to be sure that when you give the high sign, that there's efforts, and you have that list of people that you want to be reached out to, and make sure if there's any, issues or things unsaid, that they're not unsaid. It might even go as far as needing to ask for forgiveness if there's been issues. And of course, the thing that a lot of people focus on is the end of life, the burial. But there's so much, as you heard me describe, between the time someone falls ill to the time that you're talking about, do you want gold handles or, whatever. What do you want the funeral ceremony to be about? There's so much, right? And talking and thinking about this and sharing it with your loved ones is not a sad thing. It can be a joyous thing. It could be something that you've crafted. I have one example. A lot of you might know her that known me for a while. Barbara Moore. She worked with me. She was a nurse practitioner, and she had a horseback riding accident, which left her paralyzed. And she and I came together and ran my home care business together. I made accommodations so that she came in for the interview, and she's like, I'll take the job, but I'm not taking the job in this office, She was in a wheelchair, and I could barely fit, and there's no way to, So I went out and I found an office, that was big enough for her to, to accommodate. And I got her a drafting table that her wheelchair would fall under, and, a roller ball that she could use because of the limited mobility of her hands. Sadly, a couple years ago, she got cancer. And it was the second time she had cancer, and it came back. She knew for a while that it was terminal. She crafted her own funeral, what food she was going to have, which slides were going to be up on the Tron, jokes, things that would come up on the screen that would just make you smirk and laugh when you were sad. So again, this is a morbid maybe subject, but it's not something that has to be that way. And I just encourage you all to order this form for not only yourselves, but for your family as well. And talk about it and fill it out so that your wishes are known. Yes.
I'm smiling on this very sad topic, but a home helper client, 89 years old, one day when I went, she said, "Come on, I want to show you my funeral pictures." And she was just delightful. She is so ready, but
Yes.
she has a folder in her daughter's note.
Right.
This is what is to be displayed.
Right. It's to me, it's tearfully beautiful,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
It's bittersweet, but that's what you want, right? I mean, isn't that what we all want? Or just not to wake up. Maybe that would be. Then we don't worry about anything. But the most difficult time for a family is when someone's not well and you're trying to navigate. And this is just a really wonderful, beautiful way to communicate. And it's legal. It's a legal document. So just a little bit about, you just jump to, this is about how to fill it out. There's also, go back one if you don't mind. There's also cards that you can have in your wallet or on your person, so that people know to look for your 5 wishes. They know that you filled it out. And you just keep it somewhere, either on like your wallet or in your top drawer, and you tell your family everything's in the top drawer, whatever. Just a little bit about, can we move forward? There's a whole bunch of resources on the website, and it's in, I don't know, what do they say, 29 different languages. Go ahead, I'm running out of time. This is my contact information. That's my email for Resource for Care and my business phone number. Oh, okay, I didn't add the other slides. All right. So just to encourage you, this information is going to be put on my website. And as well as this, there's also all kinds of educational